Okay, I've been asked to talk about quantum specifically. I did do this in a video a couple of weeks ago when I said I was leaning into quantum shorts. Now, those of you who followed me for a while would understand that these have been very small positions. I sold IONQ and QBTS a couple of weeks ago, and then they sold off really hard, and then they bounced back, and then I stopped them out because I have a very tight 10% stop loss rule in the book, and then I re-shorted them. When I say them, I reshorted IONQ yesterday. I'm probably just going to stick to one. There's no point in having two. Now listen, I just want to explain the situation with quantum for those of you who don't totally understand why I'm keen on selling these stocks up here as a trade. Now, I understand the whole excitement behind quantum. Of course I do. In fact, I was one of the people who was trying to buy these stocks about a year ago, and then more importantly, about 6 months ago, when Jensen Huang came out saying that he didn't actually know of any companies that were listed in the quantum space. I mean, that is how ridiculously fast this has burst onto the scene. The CEO of NVIDIA publicly announced during a conference call that he had no knowledge of any listed quantum stocks. That was 6 months ago. I mean, just digest that. It's ridiculous. Then he came out 3 months ago and said that he apologized to all those listed companies, D-Wave, IONQ, quantum computing, etc., and said, sorry guys, and I took it one step further, and he set up a quantum division in his company. Now, since then, we've had an explosion of excitement around all of these all of these growth areas, whether it be AI, robotics, quantum, nuclear. All of these areas have now exploded into bubbly retail speculative areas of the market. And here we are 200-300% higher, in some cases more, in all these stocks. Now, the point that I want to make right here is you need to know what you're doing. What are you buying, right? Okay, if you're buying IONQ, you're buying a $30 billion company in market cap with $59 million in sales. Do you have any idea how ridiculous that is? If someone said to me, is it overvalued? Overvalued doesn't even come close to what this company is, right? In order to justify a market cap of 30 billion, you need to have at the very least, $5 billion in sales, right? I mean, even if you had 1 billion in sales, you could probably justify some sort of crazy speculative valuation in this market. But if you've got 59 million in sales and a market cap of 30 billion, it is it's a drastic understatement to say that it's overvalued. Now, but that's the nature of the beast, guys. We're at the dawn of some very exciting technologies, and no one knows where it's going to go, who's going to be the winners, who's going to be the losers, and this is the nature of it. In 1999, we saw that with the internet, and now we're seeing it with two things at the same time. AI, in fact, four things at the same time, really. AI, quantum, robotics, nuclear energy, right? All these things are just exploding. Now, it's been happening for a while, but we've got to the point right now where there's a lot of concern, particularly in the professional world. The people I speak to, the hedge fund managers, are all trying to look at shorting these companies because it's essentially a foregone conclusion that they will have a big sell-off at some point, right? There's no way on earth that they're going to suddenly have a ramp. The technology is not there. The demand, the commercial capabilities of these technologies has not advanced enough for us to get big orders to justify these valuations. It might happen down the road, but we're not there yet, and we won't be there for quite some time. So in the meantime, they're just living on these ridiculously sort of fantasy-like valuations. So that's why I'm going to put my IONQ short back on with the 10% stop loss. We'll see how we go. But I just wanted to make clear to those of you who are asking me about quantum and why am I looking at them as shorts here and where's the valuation, right? It's crazy to say the least where we are right now. Now, the market that we're in is incredibly irrational, incredibly exuberant, and that can last for a lot longer than anyone can stay solvent, to quote one of the most famous finance terms in history. But you know, it is what it is. But you've got to pick your moment, and my moment is now. I'll keep the stop loss. I'll keep the position sizing is critical. Keep it quite small. But yeah, I'm leaning back into the IONQ short. And by the way, this company may end up being one of the best companies in the world in 10 or 15 years' time. But right here, right now, it's massively overbought and massively overvalued and desperately needs to have a sell-off. And by the way, if the market decides to take risk off, for some macro catalyst. If something happens, if we get a spike in inflation or something happens, right? At the moment, nothing's happening, right? So that's why everyone's got an excuse to just keep buying the market. But let's assume something does happen and the market does have a big drawdown. These guys are going to get crushed all the way back to down to where they started. So that's the risk. That's something that, you know, that's in my professional world, we're constantly looking out for and trying to ascertain, you know, where the trades are. So that's so those are my thoughts on quantum. I hope it's clear. Yeah, good luck.